Welcome to episode 4 of Gambots. I'm your host, Eric, and this is my co-host.
It's Christian.
Today we're going to be talking about the first week of NFL football and the second week of college football. We finished the cartoon on Netflix, Disenchantment. Christian's going to give his thoughts on the new movie, Searching. I will give you guys a review of Tales from the Borderlands, and we're going to do a review spotlight of 2 games I've been playing this week. So this is the second week of college football, and we're not going to talk about the entirety of it. We're just going to do a quick rundown of sort of the big topic ideas. First was my matchup of the week that I was really looking forward to was Georgia, South Carolina. It's a big SEC game. I thought it was going to be the best game of the week, and it actually turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. Georgia took advantage of South Carolina, and by halftime, you could tell that the game was over, and Georgia just ran away with it. So that was a bit of a letdown. The only other game that was really close for a top 25 matchup was Arizona State, Michigan State. Arizona topped Michigan State 16-13. I just want to do a quick preview of games I'm looking forward to in week 3. The big one that I am looking forward to is Auburn LSU. Hopefully that's another good one and won't be a disappointment. Looking at the updated rankings of the college football playoffs right now, Alabama is sitting at number 1. Clemson's number 2, Georgia's number 3, and Ohio State's number 4. You know, we're going to hopefully see some changes because these have more or less been the same 4 teams for the third straight year at the start of the season. But, you know, there's usually some people who fall out, some who jump in due to upsets. So I don't think that's what it's going to be at the end of the year. And the other big thing this weekend was the start of the NFL season. In the opening game, we had Atlanta playing against the Super Bowl champion Eagles. And what was actually not that interesting of a game to watch for anyone, unless you're probably an Eagles fan, Eagles ended up winning 18-12 in a rather boring game. I mean, it's early season football, so you're not really going to see the best offensive play or defensive play out there. You saw a lot of penalty flags being thrown for things that you're not used to seeing, especially a new one where if you're going to tackle the quarterback, you can't put your full weight on him. We saw a penalty flag for that, which was just, it seemed like a normal play. It's hard to watch when people throw flags for that kind of stuff. The other 2 interesting games this week were the Browns and the Steelers. The Browns finally have not lost a game in over a year. They ended up tying the Steelers in week 1, which to any Steelers fan, I think just has to be an embarrassment because the Browns are not a great team. And the Steelers always have a problem of playing down to their opponent. So not really a good week for them. If anything, I feel both teams probably feel like they lost. Steelers actually should have lost the game. The Browns had their field goal blocked in overtime, which it was a bad game for the Steelers. And in what was the most interesting game of the week was the Bears were up 20 on the Packers going into the fourth quarter. Khalil Mack looked amazing out there. Aaron Rodgers got injured in the second quarter. Khalil Mack had a pick 6 from Deshaun Kaiser, and then at one point he made Deshaun Kaiser look like a fool. Went for the sack, just ended up ripping the ball out of his hands. I mean, the Packers look horrible without Aaron Rodgers, but then here comes the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers is back in. He scores 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They end up winning the game, an upsetting loss for Bears fans. And that's your football update. So last week we talked about the first 3 episodes of Disenchantment, and I finally finished the entire series. Did you get a chance to watch it, Christian?
Yeah, I actually finished it just this afternoon.
And what'd you think of it now that you've seen all the episodes?
Well, I thought it really grabbed me at the beginning, and it was great at the end, but there was a lull in the middle where it almost lost me, but I was glad that I hung in there.
I agree with you. I was really excited just because it was a new cartoon by Matt Groening, and then I think the episodes tended to get a little bit dull until the end. They start ramping up again, especially episodes 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, those last 3 episodes were intense, and in my opinion, the best 3 of the series so far.
Yeah, and what really I think made them better was the series itself is not each episode being self-contained. They're trying to build upon each other, but they didn't really do a great job of that until actually the last 3 episodes where it was a continuous story and you are interested to see what's happening in the next episode.
Yeah, that was something I'd noticed. I know this team, like we brought up, working on Simpsons and Futurama was mostly just standalone episodes, but now they're moving to this longer arch storyline. I feel like they were struggling a little bit because the progress that the characters were making at the end of each episode wasn't necessarily reflected in where the next episode picked up. And it was a little frustrating to me to seem like none of the characters were making any progress, but especially towards the end of the series, that changed, and it really became a single cohesive story.
I will say the one thing that the middle episodes and the earlier episodes did was they did establish characters who would later appear, so it made sense of them not coming out of just thin air. But overall, I think the last 3 episodes were the best of the series. What was your favorite episode?
I think my favorite episode was Love's Tender Rampage. It is the 7th episode. It introduces a giant as Elfo's girlfriend, and there's a lot of just goofy stuff that goes on with that fake relationship. And that was the episode where I think the King, Zog, really became one of my favorite characters. He just had some fantastic lines and some great scenes in that episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode. And it's funny you bring up King Zog. I think he might be my favorite character of the series. They really develop him towards the end as being somewhat sympathetic for why he is the way he is. And he's hilarious.
Yeah, at the beginning, he was funny, he was goofy, but he didn't grab me. And then in that episode, he was so funny. And then, yeah, at the end, they really take him for a ride.
If I had to pick my favorite episode of the series, I think it would be episode 5, Faster Princess Kill Kill. It was the episode where she becomes the apprentice executioner, and then they end up going to the Hansel and Gretel style house. I thought that was a good subversion of fairy tale tropes. Oh my gosh, her being a torturer, I thought it was well done, especially the head torturer. I thought he was hilarious because he was so even keel. But then here he is, he's just a murderer and he tortures people.
Yeah, the king is actually voiced by John DiMaggio, who was the voice of Waka in Final Fantasy X, which is a game that's very near and dear to my heart.
Wow, I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, I just put him up on IMDb, which is something else I wanted to mention, which is these voice actors are kind of incredible. You pull up the listing for this show, and each of the voice actors voices like 14 different parts.
I know this show has not gotten a ton of credit, and I think we might be higher on it than a lot of other people, but it's just amazing to me how many people are involved in this.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It was almost every episode I was recognizing somebody's voice.
If you had to rate Disenchantment overall, what do you think you would give it for the first season?
I'd probably give it 6 out of 10. It was good. It was funny. And if it continues on its upward trajectory from where it left off at the end of this season, it's only going to get better.
I'm with you. I think I'd put it maybe around a 7. I really liked parts of it, but as a whole, I think it's just missing the mark. I don't think it is as good as Futurama, but I still think it's worth checking out if you like Mac Groening.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be something great. I just think they're finding their feet, and I think if they continue, like I said, I think they can really, really make this something great.
I'm really interested to see how this is going to go for the second season, which I want to try and keep this spoiler free, but the way that the first season ends, it leaves it into a position where you don't know if they're going to continue with Dreamland as being the setting, or if we're going to go to a completely different land where this is truly like an epic story where you think you might be in one place the whole time, but you're actually going on an adventure through every land.
Yeah, and I would like to see that, especially because in the second to last episode, they show them wandering across all these different worlds in search of the item that they're looking for. And they show them wandering across the map, kind of Indiana Jones style. And you really get a sense of how large this world is that they've mapped out for themselves. I'd really like to see them explore more of it than just Dreamland.
Yeah, I would too. And I think it would actually be kind of the point of this is not Futurama. This is not The Simpsons. It's supposed to be an epic show that continues on. It would be interesting if they didn't go to their normal trope of every episode of Futurama was in the Planet Express building, every episode of The Simpsons is Springfield, if this actually was its own adventure where there wasn't a home base, where it's just a continuous show. So this week, Christian, you saw the film Searching. What is that?
It is interesting. It's a movie that takes place all on computer screens in a similar way to the horror movies Unfriended and Friend Request that really missed the mark, but this one did not. It really hit. This is the first one of these types of movies I've seen that did a really excellent job using its medium and really diving into that kind of motif without it being kind of dumb and corny looking. It was directed by Anish Chaganty, who seemingly has directed really nothing else. They have a lot of credits on their IMDb for short films, but this seems to be their first real feature-length film, and it was great. I'll be excited to see what they do moving forward.
So what's interesting about this movie, and we haven't actually intentionally been picking it, but this is another movie that stars an Asian actor. It's John Cho, who is, I would guess, most famous for either being Harold from Harold and Kumar or as Captain Sulu from the Star Trek reboot. And it's done well at the box office, and we talked about Crazy Rich Asians 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, it's true. It's John Cho does an outstanding job. He's one of those guys who just a few years ago I would have had a difficult time seeing as anybody other than Harold from Harold and Kumar, but his work in Star Trek and a couple other movies has really propelled him out of that role and into more serious roles, and he does a very good job in a dramatic role here.
So right now this is sitting at a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you think it deserves that?
Oh, absolutely. It's engaging. It really keeps you guessing because it is a mystery. Basically, John Cho's daughter goes missing, and so he has to hack into her laptop to try and figure out what she's been doing and who she's been spending her time with and where she may have gone. And so, as I said, it's all told from computer screen to computer screen. A lot of it is told through FaceTime, but it's a mystery, and it really does keep you kind of on the edge of your seat and wondering who's done what and who are the people that are really going to be in the background of this movie. And the last 15 or 20 minutes just blows you away. You didn't never see it coming.
I'm pretty interested to see this film. After looking into it more, do you think we're going to start seeing better done movies like how it's filmed in Searching?
I hope so. As I said, I watched Unfriended and I watched Friend Request, which were two pretty generic horror movies that were filmed this way. Whereas instead of it being kind of found footage like the Paranormal Activities where they were all told just from computer screens, it wasn't the format that was the problem so much as it was just kind of the rest of the movie. This really fulfilled its promise of making what this format could really look like. It really rose through.
And what's interesting about this too is like you said, the other ones were generic horror movies. This isn't really a horror movie. This is a thriller, and you tend to only see the found footage, like you said, or this in horror movies. So this could be it branching into different other genres of films.
Yeah, and it was especially nice for somebody like me who spends 90% of his day in front of a computer anyway. So last week, this movie came out, and it only made about $508,000. It was 25th in the box office, but it wasn't a wide release. It was a fairly limited release. And this week, it went much wider, and it finally came to the theater that I work at, because we hadn't had it last week. And after that wide release, it shot up. It's now number 5 on the box office. It made $9.3 million this week.
Wow, that's a pretty good second week for it there. A huge jump.
Yeah, so the word got out that first week and the critical reviews came in. People said it was good, and man, they really came out for it because it didn't make a whole lot of money here where I work, but it made a whole lot of money nationwide and even worldwide. It's up to $32.5 million since it came out.
We're actually, I think, getting into a bit of a renaissance for, I guess, smaller. Would you call this an indie horror films? I mean, last year we had Get Out. This year it seems like we have Searching, which is more of a thriller. But still in the same vein.
I mean, I'd like to think so. There's always been a complaint that Hollywood doesn't have any original ideas and they just keep remaking the same things or rebooting them or making sequels or adaptations. And this really was a new story. It was something that I'd never seen before in a format that I'd never seen done well. And they made it great. So I would really like it if studios kind of learned from these branch out experimental things that have been successful and maybe tried some new stuff for once. That would be great.
A lot of the times when you see a new horror movie, it's either super generic or it's a B-level horror film. You don't really see well-done, clever horror films.
Like you said, the horror movies have kind of petered off. I know a lot recently they've been moving more towards shock value and just gore more than actual fear. But take The Nun that came out this week, for example. It was advertised as being one of the scariest movies of the decade, and they had that whole campaign that they had to pull trailers from TV because they were too scary to show. And I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list for this week, but we had people coming out of the theater this weekend just saying it was dumb.
So this week, I finished episodes 2 through 5 of Tales from the Borderlands, and I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts on it. It's a really easy platinum number 1 if you guys are looking to get a platinum on PlayStation. All you have to do is finish the game, and you get it. In total, it's maybe 12 hours. But I have to say, if you're a fan of the Tales game, this is one of my favorite games from Telltale Games. So the game, like I was talking about last week, this game follows 2 characters, Reese and Fiona, and they have somewhat contradicting stories. So it's a little bit like Rashomon, where you don't necessarily always know who's telling the truth. And the story will point that out at certain times, and it makes for some humorous situations. But the game follows the aftermath of Borderlands 2. A hologram of Handsome Jack makes an appearance, and you have to decide if you want to trust him or not. He has as many good lines as he does in Borderlands 2. He's clearly crazy. Fiona's more of a con woman, so you see her side with her and her sister. And throughout the game, you are more or less trying to get what's called a vault key, which in the Borderlands universe opens an area where people can just get crazy amounts of loot. So everyone wants them. And this game follows these guys trying to find a vault key and then get back money they use to buy a fake vault key, and then infiltrating an area to get a real vault key and just try and stop. And then once they open the vault, monsters come out, trying to stop that from happening. So it was a really good game. And interestingly, I thought this game should have ended halfway through episode 5, and they continued for another three parts, which was hilarious. I thought it ended really well. And I also thought Handsome Jack had an interesting ending, a much better finale than he had in Borderlands 2. Overall, though, I would say it's one of my favorite of the Telltale games. Up there, I would say it might be number 2 between Wolf Among Us, but I know a lot of people like Tales from the Borderlands the most. It's very humorous. I mean, the Borderlands games are known for outlandish violence, and they play that well. And if you like the Telltale style of adventure games, I highly suggest you check it out. So this week I wanted to do a little bit of a different segment. What games we're playing right now, and what games are you playing this week, Christian?
Well, I started my playback through the Kingdom Hearts franchise, trying to get ready for January 29th when the third one comes out. I just finished all 3 of the storylines in Birth by Sleep, which I'm trying to play them chronologically. So this was the first one. And now I'm going back through Terra, Aqua, and Ven's saves that I have, trying to get 100% so that I can unlock the secret episode.
What system are you playing on?
PlayStation 3.
That's part of the 2.5 remix?
Yeah, I have 1.5 and 2.5 I got when I got my PS3 that I've been working on. I keep wanting to buy a PS4, but I'm holding off. I'm going to wait till we get closer to the Kingdom Hearts release.
I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be great. I need to play through the other games because I haven't seriously played it since 2, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, Birth by Sleep is probably my favorite of the franchise so far.
Have you fought I know there's supposed to be a really hard secret boss in that one. Have you fought him yet?
Not yet. I have to unlock everything. Once I finish the secret episode, then the like the special bosses get available, and I'll have to try and deal with them too.
Oh, good luck with that. Because I look into platinum those games, and I hear that's supposed to be the hardest one because of fighting the bosses with one of the characters specifically. I just can't remember which one.
Yeah, I know. I think there's 3 secret bosses, so I'll be dealing with those once I finish that last. It's like another 10 or 15 minutes of gameplay I have to get through, but before I can do that, I have to 100% all of the stories.
All right, well, good luck with that, man.
Thank you.
This week, after playing Tales from the Borderland, I wanted to go back and play Borderlands 2, so I jumped back into my old save. I had a pretty good fun with it for about 6 hours, but then I remember just how grindy that game is, and it is not meant to be played on single player, man. It is slow at times with the number of people you have to kill. Overall, though, Borderlands 2 is pretty fun. I think I got my fill and I moved on. I also picked up Horizon Zero Dawn, which, oh my gosh, I wish I had played that game earlier. I'm only about 3 hours in right now, but it feels so good. Do you know much about Horizon Zero Dawn?
I've seen it advertised and I've seen pictures of it online. It looks cool, but I have not had a chance to actually play it.
Yeah, the premise is you're just hunting robotic dinosaurs. I mean, it's done well, though. They have their own patterns, and I can't wait to get deeper into the game. It's really fun. And then the final game I picked up, which is actually an early access Steam game, which I'm enamored with. It's called Slay the Spire. It's developed by Megacrit, who it looks like this is their first game. It's a really small team, only 2 guys, and then they have a lot of collaborators, but it is a roguelike deck building game where you choose what you can unlock 3 characters so far from what I've found. You choose one of them. They each have their own a little bit of ability and own cards they can draw. And then you go through a map where you can either choose to fight someone. There's a mystery one where you can either get something good or something bad, or you go to shops. And every time you beat enemies, you can choose a new card, and you have to build a deck to fight people. And you go through and you fight a boss, and you're supposed to go through 3 levels. And then I don't know what happens because I haven't beat it yet. I've only gotten to the boss in the second room. But it is addicting. I mean, each game lasts it can last really quickly if you die, or it can last 40, 50 minutes, depending on how long it takes you. And man, it is fun.
That's pretty cool. That's on Steam, you said?
Yeah, it's Steam. It's right now $15.99. It's in early access. They're supposed to have the full release out sometime out in 2018, which they're getting close to it. And it's actually supposed to be ported over to the Switch sometime in the first or second quarter of 2019. Which I think it will be a great game for the Switch. It's fun. I wish I had picked it up earlier. It's a good game if you just want to jump in and play for 20 or 30 minutes. It'll save you where you are if you have to jump out. I cannot give this game enough praise. I'm not even a huge card game fan. I was wanting to play Hearthstone, but it doesn't load on my computer anymore. So I was looking for something else that had less of a PvP element and more of a PvE, because I'm not huge into playing other players, and Hearthstone only has 10 or so quests that you can play on your own. So I love just being able to play the computer. All right, guys, we're going to play our Amazon-styled 20 questions review game. So this week I picked something from Amazon. Christian, I'm going to give you the 5-star review from it, and we'll see if you can guess it. And if you need me to go to another review, I can. So our first review is by NK. You will absolutely effing hate this movie. It will make you feel sick to your stomach like a week-old undercooked chicken. But if you're anything like me, your morbid curiosity will get the best of you, and you will have to watch it just once, just to see what all the fuss is about. There is no turning back. You will never be the same again. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Oh man, I have no idea.
You can ask a couple questions, and I can help fill you in.
What genre are we in?
Horror.
Horror. Oh man, I don't even have a guess. That was a tough one.
All right. Do you want a second review?
Yes, please.
Maybe it's my sick, twisted fascination with surgical constructed disasters, or my dark sense of humor for why the directors made this film. Or maybe it's a combination of both. I don't know if these factors laid in with my love for this movie, and honestly, I'm frightened to psychoanalyze it. A movie underrated for its terror and 100% scientifically proven horror. I believe it earned less fame than what it has deserved. I have a strong stomach concerning blood injuries and, well, anything else, considering I work in a hospital where I'm accustomed to seeing everything far and few in between. But even I had a few moments when watching this movie, I almost gagged. Seeing the film in theaters is not the same as seeing this for real. Deleted scenes make this movie almost a torture to watch all by itself.
Ooh, I'm going to say Saw.
No, I'll give you one more.
All right.
Strange movie, but when the premise is that a mad doctor sews 3 people together, anal to mouth, with one digestive system, how can you not want to watch that?
All right, that would be Human Centipede then.
Yes. All right, guys, thanks for checking us out this week. What are you going to be checking out this week, Christian?
Like I said earlier, I'm definitely going to be checking out The Nun. It's gotten enough buzz that it's definitely on my list for this week. There's also a couple movies coming out that I want to see. A Simple Favor comes out on Friday, and that has Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and that's some kind of mystery. Even the trailers are pretty mysterious, but I'm definitely intrigued enough to check that out. I also got a couple of board games that I want to try and fiddle with and see if I can get the hang of.
Oh, what'd you get?
I got Ascension. It's some kind of a deck building game, but it has a single player mode, which is something that I'd never seen in a board game before. So I'm going to open that up and see what it's all about. I also got Boss Monster, which I've played once now, and I'm immediately a big fan of. So I'm definitely going to be getting more into that game too.
Boss Monster is really, I really like Boss Monster.
Yeah, my only complaint so far is that it's only 4 players. I thought maybe the expansions would open it up to 6 or 8, but they just give you more cards and keep the number of players the same, which was a little bit of a bummer, but I'd like to get one of the expansions and see what it's like too.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. 4 people. We usually play games with 5 people, and so we would budget a little bit to get 5 people, but it is not meant to really be played with 5 people. And you're right, the expansion, because I got the expansion about a month ago. It adds new bosses, which are awesome bosses. Like, they have some good powers, but they don't expand the number of players, unfortunately.
Yeah, so like you said, you can probably finagle it a little bit, especially if you have the expansions and you have more cards. You can probably fix it up that you could add a 5th or 6th player, just kind of winging it. But that was really my only complaint. I liked basically everything else about it.
This week, I'm going to play some more Horizon Zero Dawn. My guess is I'm going to be playing that almost exclusively, but I also might drop in some Slay the Spire as well. So I don't have much else planned for this week. There's not any TV shows I'm currently watching, so it'll be mostly video game heavy week. Soccer is back on next week, so maybe I'll try and watch some of the EPL or Serie A. All right, guys, thanks for listening. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Gambots Network. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.